morning. Welcome. My name is Yasara Antar, and I am president of the Board of Trustees of Mainline Unitarian Church. It is good that you are with us. Our worship team today is led by Christy Parry, a member of our congregation and lead gardener. Our worship associate is Kathy Landay. Our director of lifespan faith development and religious education is Dawn Star Sarah's Borchelt. And our musical special guests are Red Door Duo and Wolfgang Jaeger on piano. Anybody joining us for the first time today? Welcome. We are glad you're joining 50 of us today. Who are we? We are a liberal religion built on a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We assert no creed, but are instead unified by our shared search for spiritual growth. We are people of all ages, many backgrounds, and many, many beliefs. One announcement today. Two announcements today. Half announcement. Bob Barker has joined our ushering team. If you'd like to join him, please David Hucker. We are in need of ushers. Appreciate the help. Beth Rittenhouse appreciates the help. Thank you in advance. Our second announcement is about the Wrap Up Plastic Free July Zoom event on July 31st at 7:30. It's the official conclusion date of Plastic Free July. Bring along a new plastic free habit that you have, a glass, not a plastic bottle, of your beverage to toast the conclusion of the challenge. And I'd like to take a moment of silence for all the worms who gave their life to my plastic worm eating experiment. 2 shipments of worms perished. May have had something to do with not giving them water, but the idea is wax worms eat plastic, they found, and I thought I'd follow up on that. They did eat some styrofoam and then died. Join us on Monday to wrap up Plastic Free July. Now join me in affirming our mission statement. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
She first visited our church last fall and is one of our frequent volunteer gardeners. She lives in Bluebell and has 2 sons who live out of the area. When we tug at a single thing in nature, we find it attached to the rest of the world.
Potential of the morning dawns on me. God all the time in the world to do what needs to be done. So sit back and enjoy setting out on the road. into the past. Nights the clock can't spun too fast. Watching the sun stain the sky with the impending of the day. Or maybe 'cause I got enough sleep last night. Or maybe because you slept by my side. Or maybe just a caffeine high. Oh, I don't wanna waste time asking why. With the potential of the morning on my side.
Morning. I am happy to be here today and thankful that our cool church provides opportunities for members to be in the pulpit. And thank you for being here. You bring a unique richness and beauty to our community, and whether you're here or joining us via the web. This is a reading by Unitarian Universalist minister William Schultz. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of power and prophecy and let its vision change your heart. Please rise in body or spirit, and we will sing our opening hymn, number 139, Our Faith is But a Single Gem.
Our story this morning comes from the Abenaki group of Native Americans who lived and still live in the area we now call New England in the United States and in the Maritimes in Canada. I learned this story from a book called Keepers of the Earth, which is the book that our children's lessons for this part of the summer are based on. And I share it with deep respect for the people to whom it belongs. One day, Gluskabi wanted to hunt ducks. So he took his bow and arrows, and he got in his canoe, and he began to paddle out into the bay, singing as he went. But a wind came up and turned his canoe and blew him back towards shore. He tried 4 times, And each time he sang harder, and each time the wind blew him back to shore, and he was not happy. He went back to his grandmother woodchuck's lodge, and he asked her, "What makes the wind blow?" She looked up from her work, and she said, "Why do you want to know?" And Glooskobby answered her just as every child in the world does when they are asked such a question: "Because." Grandmother Woodchuck thought this was likely to cause trouble, but she knew he was stubborn and wouldn't stop asking, so she told him, "Far from here on the top of the tallest mountain, a great bird named Wuchosen flaps his wings and he makes the wind blow." And Glooskobby asked, "How would I find that place where the wind eagle stands?" Now, Grandmother Woodchuck knew this wasn't a good idea, but she also knew that he was stubborn and wouldn't stop asking, so she told him, "If you walk always facing into the wind, you will come to the place where Wuchosen stands." So Glooskobby went out of her lodge and started to walk straight into the wind. The further he went, the stronger the wind blew. The wind was so strong that it blew off his moccasins. It blew off his shirt. It blew off all of his clothes, and he was naked, but he kept walking. It blew off his hair, and as he climbed up into the mountains on the boulders, it blew off his eyebrows. But finally, on the peak ahead of him, he could see a great bird slowly flapping its wings. Glooskobby took a deep breath. "Grandfather!" he shouted. The wind eagle stopped flapping his wings and looked around. Glooskobby said, "I just came up here to tell you that you do a very good job of making the wind blow." That made the wind eagle proud, and he flapped his wings even harder. "Grandfather!" shouted Glooskobby. The wind eagle stopped flapping his wings. Glooskobby said, "You do a very good job of making the wind blow, Grandfather, but it seems to me that you could do an even better job if you were on that peak over there." And he pointed at another mountain peak nearby that was maybe a little tiny bit taller. It's hard to tell when you're up on a mountain peak. And the wind eagle said, "How would I get there?" So Glooskobby said, "I'll carry you, wait here." And he ran back down the mountain and he found some bark and he braided a carrying strap and he took it back up the mountain and he wrapped it around Wuchosen so tightly so that his wings were pulled in and he could hardly breathe. And Glooskobby set off towards the other mountain, but as he was walking towards the other peak, he came to a place where there was a large crevice in the ground, and as he stepped over it, he dropped Wuchosen into the crevice. And the wind eagle landed upside down, and he was stuck. And Glooskobby went home to hunt ducks. But when he got back to the lake and he got his moccasins and he got some new clothes and he got his bow and arrows and he went down to his boat and went out in the lake and sang his song, it was really hot and still, and he got sweaty and it was hard to breathe and the water was dirty and it smelled bad and there was so much foam he could hardly paddle and he was not happy at all. So he went back to his grandmother's lodge and he said, "What's going on? I can't hunt ducks like this at all." And Grandmother Woodchuck looked up at Glooskobby and said, "What have you done now?" And Glooskobby answered just as every child in the world answers when asked that question, "Oh, nothing." "Glooskobby," said Grandmother Woodchuck again, "tell me what you did." So he told her the whole story and how he left the wind eagle stuck in a crevice. "Oh, Glooskobby," said Grandmother Woodchuck, "we have the wind eagle to make the wind because we need the wind. The wind keeps the air cool and clean. The wind brings the clouds which give us rain to wash the earth. The wind moves the waters and keeps them fresh and sweet. Without the wind, life will not be good for us, for our children, or for our children's children." So Glooskobby went out again, and he walked in the direction that the wind had once come from, and he walked all the way up to the crevice where he had left Wuchosen, the wind eagle, and he said, "Uncle!" He's pretending he's not the same guy who stuck him in. The wind eagle looked up as best he could. "Who calls me uncle?" "It's Glooskobby, Uncle. I'm up here, but what are you doing down there?" And the wind eagle said, "A very ugly naked man with no hair told me that he would take me to the other peak so that I could do a better job of making the wind blow, but he stuck me in here and I'm not comfortable at all." Uncle, I will get you out, said Gluskabi. Gluskabi put Buchwolsen back on the mountain and untied his wings. Uncle, Gluskabi said, it is good that the wind should blow sometimes, at other times it is good that it should be still. The wind eagle looked at Gluskabi and nodded his head. Grandson, he knew all along, I hear what you say. So it is that sometimes there is wind and sometimes it is still to this very day. And so the story goes. I invite the children and youth to join Kelly in the McGinnis room for this morning's class.
Good morning. At this time in our service at Mainline Unitarian Church, we collect the offering and share half with a carefully selected partner from the community. Any group that is selected is living the values that we hold dear. The recipient of MLUC's offering outreach for July and August will once again be Family Promise of the Main Line. Formerly, it was called IHN, or Interfaith Hospitality Network of the Main Line. This commitment continues the support MLUC has pledged each summer for several years. MLUC's involvement with Family Promise extends beyond offering outreach. We have hosted families many times over the years. Volunteers provide meals, prepare sleeping places, and spend time with families during their stay. Last week, Barbara Welsh and I served and ate dinner with a family a Saturday evening, and it was really a delight to be with them. You can make it easy too. We just got takeout food from Chipotle, brought it in and made it easy for us, and they loved it. I do think that most of you know that the success rate for these families is very high, and we are given this privilege through our church to help make that happen. So please be generous if you are able, and together we will make a difference. As our offerings are collected here and electronically, you can see the directions on the screen for online giving. We thank you. The ushers come forward. smooth, mellow music for this morning. Love it. Candles of Community is the time in our service when we come together to share some of life's precious moments with each other, whether they be joys or sorrows. As each candle is lit, please join me in saying, "We hold you in our hearts." I want to start our sharing this morning by reaching out to the broader community. Of course, I can't help but mention the weather and the effects it has had on the United States, but also our planet during this summer. Yesterday on the radio, I heard a doctor from Phoenix who is the head of a burn unit at a hospital there. He was talking about how people have suffered terrible burns from falling onto cement sidewalks or macadam. He said it only takes a moment or two. He also said that his burn unit was full and that the operating room was totally booked. I've lived a few years and never would have imagined that we would get to this place. So let's extend our love and caring to people who are facing extreme weather conditions, whatever it may be. We light this candle, hold you in our hearts. Our next candle is from Nuala Carpenter. She reports that Jean Gall had open-heart surgery at Lankenau on Wednesday. The surgery was successful. She is recovering and will be in hospital for about 1 week. For Jean especially, and Nuala, and all the family, we hold you in our hearts. Frank Weber sent word that Luis Blasco, I think I'm saying that, I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but close enough, I hope, husband of deceased longtime member Mimi Collins Blasco, has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which has metastasized. He states that he always maintained a flow of love and respect for MLUC and has been enriched by this rapport. So for Luis and Frank and all of the Blasco family, we hold you in our hearts. I have one additional announcement today. Where did that go? Here it is. So Carrie Nielsen and Bill, now you're going to have to help me with his last name too. D'Agostino, is that right? I guess she's not here. Anyway, she wants to tell you that they are celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary on Wednesday. So for Carrie and Bill, we congratulate you and hold you in our hearts. And for all those joys and sorrows that we hold deep within us, we hold you in our hearts. We're having a meditation this morning, and it is called That Quiet Power Within Us. I have adapted it from J.E. Abernathy Jr. So please take this from this medication a word or a phrase, a thought, or an idea to contemplate as we will have a minute of silence following my narrative. Assume whatever body position makes you feel grounded, centered, or just relaxed. Take a few deep breaths with me and open yourself to letting your body absorb what you hear. These moments are dedicated to that quiet power within us, It is within that we find the will to face the world. It is within that we find the love to embrace the world. It is within that we find our personal identity and know the world. At times, we need to be alone to put things right. Sometimes, we need to be with others to love and be loved. The separate and the social gives us identity. Look within with honesty and trust. Find that personal center important to who we are. There, as with all people, we find that which we have in common with all people. Something incredibly human, something completely natural. This center is your genesis of all personal growth and inspired action. There, you can welcome the known and the unknown. So may it be.
Hello. Happy Sunday. I've got a few songs to sing for you today, and we'll start with one that I have sung here before. As far as I can tell, it will never stop being a central thing that I came to say with my music. It's who I am, and I hope you enjoy this song. There's one power, invisible, and just see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings, or heaven's door, but whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, or Jesus or Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Mohammed, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power, yeah. One power is what we are. One power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby. The serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon. For it's love that's most deep. It's one power. What we are is it's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me.
Let's talk about leveraging our secret power for our good and the greater good. Have you ever found yourself wondering, what is the way to a more perfect, thriving world? How can we live together in harmony and peace? If so, I bet you may have also wondered what we can do to make more headway. It seems out of control, out of our control, and overwhelming. As I pondered this, I began to look for clues in the modern and ancient wisdom of our Unitarian principles and sources, and in the larger world. This is because several years ago, when my search for truth and meaning took me to the Center for Spiritual Living, where I studied their book, The Science of Mind, I discovered an exciting new world. And when I returned to MLUC and reopened our books, I could clearly see what I had missed before. It was as if I was wearing new glasses because the wisdom was in plain sight, but I had not seen it due to socialization that blurred my vision. So I'd like to share with you the clues I found that I believe will help us make more headway towards a better world. Looking for clues in our seventh principle, the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Without my glasses, I think this could be the food web or the one earth that we all share. But with my wisdom glasses, I see that energy connects everything. Modern physics says this podium is energy. You and I are energy. Everything is made of atoms that they themselves are made entirely of energy. Matter is a frozen form of energy in time and is the slowest frequency we can see, thus giving the illusion that we are separate from each other. This explains a phenomenon called the butterfly effect, where something as small as the flap of a butterfly wing can change something as big as the weather a continent away. And I wonder if this underlies coincidences, like when we think of someone and the phone rings and there they are. Our Unitarian Universalist Association website states our seventh principle may be our UU way of coming to fully embrace something greater than ourselves. The interdependent web, expressed as the spirit of life, the ground of all being, the creative force, even God, can help us develop that social understanding of ourselves that we and our culture so desperately need. The word Unitarian provides a clue as well. It refers to the belief in a single, loving presence, God or Creator. And if we're one with this Creator, might we also be creators? Our first principle is a clue, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, that I think stems from our oneness with this loving presence. We are individual expressions of the one source or spirit, but not separate from it. It's like a drop of water in the ocean, individual, but containing all the properties of the whole. I think this is the image of God in which we are made. It's invisible, energetic, consciousness. Again, I looked at this principle on the UUA website, and it states, just to be is a blessing, just to live is holy. So let's stop basing our worth on the opinions of others. We are a spark of the divine. Philosopher Fichte said, an insight into the absolute unity of man with the divine is the profoundest knowledge that man can attain. Maybe this is why oneness and our divine nature are an underlying principle of many religions and schools of thought. The term namaste means the divine in me honors the divine in you. Jesus said, the Father and I are one. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this oneness web interbeing. The force is always with us. I learned we actually emit light. The core of our DNA is light from the stars. But we can't see most of the electromagnetic spectrum. Increasing our perceptive capacity through a feeling or a knowing is called enlightenment, the state of seeing more light. You can try to feel this energy now by putting your awareness on your right foot. Notice if it feels different than your left. For where awareness goes, energy flows. Our UU sources provide clues to how we can make more headway towards a better world as well. One source refers to the transforming power of love. Without my new wisdom glasses, this might just be a nice idea. But through my glasses, I see source energy vibrating fast at the frequency of love. And this frequency transforms lives by dissolving all energies unlike itself. So love is within us, and it is our basic nature to be loving. Author Bell Hooks states that the injustice and systemic oppression in the world stem from a deep collective lovelessness and calls for an ethic of love. The Science of Mind founder Ernest Holmes says, denying love is our only problem, and embracing it the only answer. In the book Friendship with God, by Neil Donald Walsh, God says there is no condition, no circumstance, no problem that love cannot solve. Love for yourself and others is always the solution. There is no person that love cannot heal, and no soul that love cannot save. So I can hear you thinking, how do we really know this spiritual oneness and love is the nature of reality? Ernest Holmes also pondered this question, stating, we must bear witness to a spiritual truth which has come down to us through the ages. And if there is any truth, this is it. It's a compilation of all the great thoughts. I don't know if I'm right, but if you skim off the top thought of the ages and it's wrong, you have no criterion to judge by at all. If you take the deep thoughts of Plato, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Socrates, Aristotle, Emerson, and Plotinus, you will have to have the greatest teaching the world has. So how does knowing our true nature help us change personal and worldly conditions? For the better. According to many sources I've studied, it is only by truly living our oneness that we can make a lasting difference. By living as if there is no other, and treating all people as if they were an extension of us. When we think our harsh words are merely aimed at them, we will continue to suffer. Only when we are clear that in fact we are hurting ourselves will we end the suffering. In living our oneness, we must also let go of the idea of better or superior, anything or anyone. That old message of right and wrong, crime and punishment, good and bad, has done nothing to end the suffering and killing. And that's because it's a message of separation. Our true nature also helps us change conditions because it comes with a spiritual scientific law that we can use in our quest for good. It's called the law of attraction or the law of the creative power of mind. It's about reaping and sowing and the power of positive thinking. It states that for every thought, word, or emotion that we fervently believe and send out as an energy force, we will receive back into our experience. We are creators, and like attracts like. Our thoughts and ideas of peace and love bring forth peace and love. Judgment brings judgment. Our fear attracts what we are afraid of. Jesus said in Matthew 8:13, "As you believe, so it will be done unto you." Our thoughts are powerful. Meditation guru Joe Dispenza says we are the placebo. We have faith in the placebo pill because it is a symbol of a possible new life. Our thoughts create chemical changes in our bodies, like how we may blush when embarrassed. Our minds can change matter. So using this law, we are the sculptor and sculpture. We are the changer and the changed. Buddha said, our life is the creation of our mind. Using this law, we are the creators of heaven and hell on earth, whether we are aware of it or not. And when judgment, anger, fear are spread by millions of people every day, it creates our global reality of sickness, war, and failure to thrive, when thriving is the blueprint of our true nature. While we have taken many great physical action steps to bring about good, our negative emotional output has greatly hindered our progress. But just as we can plant a new seed in the fertile soil, we can plant a new thought or vision in the creative medium of mind, and things will change for the better. I know we are each capable of changing our minds, planting a new thought, and creating miracles. For change is the only constant in life, and miracles are nothing more than the correct use of law, just like understanding aerodynamics keeps a plane in the air. So let's learn how to use this law to bring about the good we want in life. There are 3 steps. The first, we ask the universe for what we desire. That's pretty easy. Second, the universe finds the simplest path to the solution from the infinite possibilities in the quantum field. I love this step. The solutions are not limited to what we can merely think of. Third, to experience our good in 3D, we have to rise into a receptive state of being, because this law only works by working through us. Just as we tune a dial into a radio station, we must tune our emotional frequency to the frequency of the quantum field, that of love, where the solution exists. In a receptive state, we can then be intuitively guided to the physical manifestation of our desires, the money in our pockets, the love in our arms, the good health in our bodies. Surely this refers to the saying, with Jesus all things are possible. But we don't have to cuddle up with Jesus. We just have to strive to have his mindset or Christ consciousness of complete faith in the law, or the Father, as he referred to it. He said that we can do even greater things than he with this faith. This is also how prayer works. So we ask for what we want, the universe knows the path to the solution, and we get into a receptive state to allow in our good. Let's look in more detail at how to get into a receptive state, because this is where most of our challenging work is. Being self-aware or mindful of how we feel is helpful, because feeling good is key to receptivity. We want to feel joy, love, and appreciation as much as possible. If I'm not feeling good, I raise my spirits with music, time in nature, or petting my cat. I disengage with negative people and fear-based news. I try not to take things personally, notice lack, or complain about what I don't like. Paul in the Bible says that the key to man's salvation is to be not conformed to this world and feel the pain of what is, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to stop focusing on and talking about how bad things are and stop complaining about what is, and instead focus on what we want. I know it's a challenge and will take practice, but it's worth it. Practices like meditation, yoga, and breath work are also valuable tools to get into a receptive state. The Dalai Lama said that if every 8-year-old is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world in 1 generation. Stopping the thinking mind, because it's actually a slower method of creation, and just being out of our mind brings into our awareness the solutions that already exist. So if someone tells you, you're out of your mind, take it as a compliment, you're doing well. Being aware of our limiting beliefs or belief in lack is also helpful. I catch myself often. Common phrases like, I get sick every winter, or how can I be so stupid? Or I don't have enough money. They're all powerful affirmations that will attract the experiences that prove them right. Do we want to be right about these things? The UUA refers to our work as resisting systems of oppression. Since what we resist persists in an energetic world, finding solution-oriented words is important. Instead of resisting oppression, why not promoting systems of thriving? Even consuming cleaner food and water brightens our light. I had to include this part so that I could share my food artifacts from 2006. This is a hamburger from a fast food chain and a pizza from a school lunch program. They're that old and haven't rotted. Those could dim our light. From the Thoughts Become Things guy, Mike Dooley, spending time engaged in make-believe is fun. Is key. How fun is that? If we think about and visualize the qualities of what we want in brilliant detail, then emotionally feel and act as if we already have it before receiving it, we can draw our desires into our life. So we have to change up an old phrase. I'll see it when I believe it. Could this be why Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge? And why Maya Angelou said, a solitary fantasy can transform a million realities? I think so. Two emotions I like to practice when pretending are basking in relief and gratitude. Try it with me if you wish. Think about a situation that you would like to see come true in your life or the world. Now close your eyes and take a deep breath and conjure up a feeling of relief and gratitude because you just heard the news that it's happened. I say things like, good health feels so amazing in my body. Thank you. And all of nature is perfectly in harmony and balanced and thriving. Thank you so much. So now that we're feeling good and receptive, we wait with confident, cheerful expectancy and faith to see how we will be guided toward the manifestation of our desires. Perhaps it will be from a chance utterance of a friend you happen to run into, or a song you hear on the radio, or an urge to do something or go somewhere. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Native American author and scientist Robin Kimmerer was guided one night when a light had been left on in an arboretum that she cared for. Once inside, a magazine article caught her attention. It reported that a champion tree had just been named after her grandfather. She had been feeling unfulfilled in her scientific work, and it reminded her how far she had come from her storytelling and spirit-filled roots, and that by intertwining these into her work, she would feel more fulfilled. I love being guided and inspired every day by my higher power that knows the solution and the easiest path to it. I practice asking, knowing the universe has my back, and being in a state of receptivity to allow in my good. I have found health solutions, living solutions, the answers to life questions, lost keys, these this morning, and much more. I felt inspired to write this talk because I have come to believe, as the UUA does, that embracing this understanding of ourselves as divine and one with all truly is so desperately needed. It's the answer to a better world. We are instruments of peace. But while our work of becoming more like our true nature and living in oneness is simple, it may not be easy. Research professor Brené Brown says, choosing to be curious is choosing to be vulnerable because it requires us to surrender to uncertainty. We have to ask questions, admit to not knowing, risk being told that we shouldn't be asking, and sometimes make discoveries that lead to discomfort. Are we brave enough to be the light? Asks poet Amanda Gorman. For we do have within us what it takes to triumph. So we are two different expressions in one entity, one visible and one invisible. We are like the acorn and the oak tree, or the caterpillar and the butterfly. We are filled with potential. The caterpillar has the potential to fly, but first something has to happen in her. Likewise, we must be born anew, evolve our consciousness to live in harmony with our true nature of divine love, so we too can fly and create a better world. In doing so, we become the change that we seek, as Gandhi advised. Living in oneness is a decision that must be made within each human heart, for only when there is a change in the human heart will there be a change in the human conditions. We create ourselves anew in each moment, as every experience calls us to be the next best version we see for ourselves. Luckily, there's no judgment, and perfection is not required, for there's always more we can become. So the secret's out, yet it has been here all along. Are we ready to see it and believe? I invite you to practice leveraging your secret power for your good and the greater good. We have much more control over personal and worldly conditions than we think. Don new wisdom glasses to see yourself and the world the interdependent web of all existence in a new way. Step into the new you with inherent worth and dignity beyond our grandest dreams. Fall in love with yourself and yourself in the other to experience and witness the transforming power of love. Use the law of creative mind to attract something good into your life to prove it to yourself. Imagine and ask for what you want. Lighten up, let go of worries. Have faith and gratitude and be receptive to your guidance. Enjoy playing in the quantum field where matter can change quickly. The seeds we plant today will determine tomorrow's harvest. Each person who rises to the occasion makes an exponential impact for good. That's great headway. Let's go forth and predict our future by creating it. I think we've got this. Amen, and so it is. Now please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 352, Find a Stillness. Go your ways, not knowing the answer to all things, yet seeking always the answer to one more thing than you know. John Brigham. Please be seated and enjoy the postlude.